guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you.
The first story is titled M Thinks Classic Cars Are Public Property. If you have a classic car, you know what I mean. We had a small classic car dealership for a few years and the entitled parents were plentiful. One of my favorites was an M who was getting some tires at the shop next door told my husband, H. It was her daughter's 16th birthday and could she take some pictures with our 41 Plymouth. He says sure, why not? About an hour later M comes back and starts to give H directions to her house, which happened to be about 30 miles away. H. Why do I need to know where you live? M. So you know where to bring the car this afternoon. H. I said you could take pictures, I never said I would bring it to your house. Just bring your daughter here. M. It's my daughter's birthday. You're not a man of your word. H. I don't care about your daughter and I didn't promise, but whatever. I guess I lied. Some more fussing, but it wasn't happening. So many stories. Come out here and unlock all the cars so my son can sit in them. No thank you. Little Johnny wanted to stand on the hoods. And you have to let him because he's my baby. The next story is entitled Mother Decides to Show Up Unannounced. For some context, I, 19F, finally decided to cut my mother off after she kept demanding I pay for my phone when I was trying to talk to her about my chicken dying. My chickens are my livelihood, we breed them and raise the chicks, so losing one of my top hens killed me. My mom's response to me being upset was that she did not care and still expected me to pay for my phone bill. Last time we talked I told her I have a house phone and don't want her paying for this phone anymore since it's not used and she only uses it against me. That was my last straw and I cut her off. She now can no longer contact me and I don't want her at my home. A few weekends ago I had a family reunion with my dad's family and all was well until my boyfriend, 19 meters, called me. My mother and her boyfriend just showed up with no warning, waltzed into my house and started asking where I was. We keep our big door wide open because we have a screen door and they thought that meant they could just walk in. They were so surprised to hear I wasn't home and ever since then my mom has been trying to contact me and get me to add her back on Facebook like she never did any wrong. The next story is titled Neighbors Using My Driveway When I'm Away and Mad When I Come Back. My family has a home that we regularly go to for lawn upkeep and checking the mail and occasional overnight stays, but nobody lives in actively. My next door neighbor has decided this means her and her children have free use of my driveway. Her kids will play and draw in chalk on my driveway, which wouldn't inherently bother me if my neighbor had asked one of the many times they've seen me or my family over there. The recent incident that has really wanted to make me ask them to stop using my driveway is because I went over to the house to spray weed killer on the driveway and saw a bike laying there. The neighbors were outside and instead of getting up and moving the bike so I could pull into my driveway, they just stared at me and watched me have to park on the street. I ended up having to move the bike myself when I went to spray. The mom then started yelling loud enough for me to hear while I was spraying that her kids had to go back inside because I was spraying the driveway. I was annoyed but just let it go because I wanted to spray and leave. When I returned a few days later to check on the weeds, I noticed the strip of them that went down the middle of our driveways was mysteriously still green and the rest were dead. I believe that my neighbors poured water on the middle part to wash it away. This also isn't the first time items have been left in my driveway and the neighbor not apologizing. She usually goes inside and tells her daughter who's like 5 to apologize to me. I'm tired of being made to feel like I am a bad person for coming to my own property. The next story is entitled Parent Steals My Mom's Driveway. Okay, so this story is about a year old, and it happened to my mom. This is how the story goes. My mom had just come home from work, and I was outside. My mom found a car in the driveway to our house. She then noticed a woman in her late 20s hops out of the car. Excuse me miss, that's my driveway. The lady proceeds to ignore my mom. Hello, that's my house, I need to get in and you stole my driveway. Shut up you idiot. Exclaimed the entitled parent. That's my house, not yours. My mom said confused. No, it's not, it's mine, and besides of it was I need to go home to see my 3-year. Then my mom has had it, she goes off. Okay, you are ducking idiot, it's my house, I have the keys and you left your kid home alone? Shame on you, now move your car before I call the cops. And that was the end of it. The next story is titled How Do People Get So Confused? Not sure if this fits the sub, but I work at one office. It's pretty much 2 rooms and a kitchen. Next door is a health professional. There are signs on the windows with the name of my office. Same as the signs on the other office. Yet people walk into our office, thinking it's the other one. This happens at least once a week. Like today, this guy walks in. We don't have an admin person, so he walks through the front room into my office and says he wants to make an appointment. I say, "For?" Then he starts to tell me what's wrong. I stop him and tell him he wants the next office. He gets kind of mad and says, "You both look the same." I'm left shaking my head as he walks out, wondering if the guy even read the signs on the window. I don't know. I mean, as soon as he walked in, it was pretty obvious we weren't what he was looking for. Most people get as far as opening the door then realize. Sigh. Some people are just willfully blind, I think. The next story is titled "She Left an Irate Message for My Manager." This was a Saturday morning, in the time of phone books, and my boyfriend had the same surname minus the S, of a well-known vacuum cleaner chain. I answered a call on our phone and this woman starts to ask me about my vacuum cleaner sale. It was not the first call that morning I'd had to field. I interject when she takes a breath, and courteously, I worked customer service Monday to Friday. Inform her that she had called a residence, not a store. She needed to call the shop, she had the wrong number, and as such I was not able to help her. She inquired again about the vacuum she was interested in, at a heavy discount. Apparently some major one-day-only sale. I reiterate she has not called the S store, she has called a residence, a home, an apartment. You need to call the shop. You have the wrong number. After repeating myself a few times and not getting anywhere, I finally just said goodbye, shook my head at the absurdity and hung up. The phone rings again and by this time I've had to deal with several more lost vacuum customers, so I just let the answering machine get it. I am incredulous to hear this woman leaving a message on my personal answering machine, again, not announcing a vacuum shop name, and proceeded to leave an irate-sounding message for my manager. After I picked up my jaw from the floor I laughed. She was demanding an apology and my immediate termination. I lived in that apartment with the same listed number for 12 years. This was the only day I ever had calls intended for the shop. The next story is titled "My Brother and I Were Wearing Cow Shirts, but we don't know where the milk is." I'm visiting my family and my brother, aunt, and I decide to stop at a gas station. Keep in mind that both my brother and I are wearing cow t-shirts, not purposely matching. My t-shirt is a white shirt tie-dyed red, blue, and yellow, with cows of different colors dancing on it, and my brother is wearing a white shirt with a cow on the back. From Crazy Shirts, it says, "Blue Moose Kowioke Cafe," and is a cow with sunglasses on the back. This woman was super polite and said, "I must be blind as a bat, you sell milk here, right?" I was confused for a second, as I was standing with my brother and my aunt, and I politely told her, "Sorry, I don't work here." The poor woman apologized and ended up going to the gas station store where the woman who was working told her that unfortunately they don't sell milk at this gas station. To that nice woman, I hope you got your milk. The next story is titled "Sad I Don't Work Here Lady Story." This happened 10 years ago. It is probably one of the saddest, I don't work here, story in this sub. When I visited my cousin in the Philippines, we stopped by at a small outside diner. The diner is run by a family who also owns the small store that is located at the front of their home. So, my cousin, my kids and I were almost finished with our meal, when an angry woman probably in her late 60s came towards us. Slams her fist at the table and said, "Why are you eating? You should be at the kitchen. Doing the dishes. I can't believe we let you live in our home and not pulling your weight." Confused, we said, "Ma'am, we don't work and live here." She continues to yell at us and threaten to beat my kid with the end of a broom handle. Now at the same time, a young lady who was working at the counter witnessed what was going on, and quickly ran inside their home. Moments later, another younger woman came towards us. "Auntie, that's enough. Let we handle our lazy employees." She spoke. "Fine. Make sure you kick them into the streets." "Yes, Auntie." "Tony, help Auntie back to the house." As soon as they left the dining area, she came running towards. Before we say anything, she started apologizing perilously. "I am so sorry about that. You know we don't work here?" "Yes, you see, she's showing signs of Alzheimer's. 6 months ago, she was walking in her old neighborhood. Not knowing who she is. Not knowing who her family members are. So, we took her in. To make sure she is safe." She continued. "She wants to comp us for the meals we just ate. We said, that won't be necessary. When my kid wanted to buy some candy. She decided to give him a box of candy. a way to apologize to us. We said yes. My cousin became friends with the family. Last week, I got a message that the aunt has just passed away. Alzheimer's is a real sad condition. The next story is titled I Was the Proverbial Lady but it was totally reasonable. In an LCBO, the bougie government liquor store in the province of Ontario, Canada, in my hometown, I was looking for a bottle of Amarone generally found in the vintages section. I glanced across the store and not only saw an employee in the section, but two uni student types had just asked them a question. Perfect. I ambled over to the employee and when I was within range, I gently asked if they knew where I could find. I do not work here, they barked abruptly, before I could finish my question. Stunned, I mumbled, oh okay, as they brusquely walked away. They seemed offended. After a moment of collecting my wits, I realized that they were just a person wearing the typical light blue button-up shirts and ironed black pants of a regular employee. What I had previously observed from afar was them telling the two young women the same thing they told me. Heck, it may have happened 3 times that day given the clothing similarity. After taking a small while for the bizarre shock to wear off, I realized it was absurd for them to not only be so rude, but also to not have a bit of a chuckle frankly. Honest mistakes creating comedic scenarios, but apparently I had unknowingly cast aspersions on their class status. It felt like I was being punked ultimately given everything, especially as someone who had once been mistaken for an employee while wearing a soccer jersey, for real lol. Recently my town has received an influx of haute bourgeois commuters from Toronto. A lot of Karens and whatever the male plus non-binary equivalent of Karen is. People who've spent their whole life riding a wave of privilege to a place where they can finally feel superior to commoners. Apparently like me. The irony being that my proletarian broke at SS probably knows more about wine than them lol. The bottle of Amarone tasted relatively bitter that night, for which I resent them doubly. Anyhow. I highly recommend Amarone, by the way. A bit more intense than most wines but less sweet than port. The grapes are dried beforehand, producing a unique depth. The next story is titled I Had to Change the Color of My High-vis Company Shirts. I do commercial electrical work and a lot of my jobs require me to wear high-vis colors. Pretty much you have 2 choices. Orange or yellow. The yellow shows stains a lot more than the orange, so of course orange was the choice. I have to go into Home Depot to get materials when it's closer than the supply house. Being that I'm actually in the electrical trade, when people ask me for help I know where everything is and what materials they would need to complete their task. It got to the point every time I went in I was helping customers because I'm a nice guy and don't want my city to burn down. Now my company shirts are high-vis yellow and I don't get asked for help at the depot, but often still help people who look confused about the products before them. The next story is titled I Haven't Had Your Experiences but I Love This Sub. I'm often mistaken for staff, asked for help. I'm vertically gifted, so often asked to get things from the higher shelves. I don't mind if I can help. The grocery store is somewhere I like to get in and out as quick as possible, and I've certainly had my occasions of hunting through 6 aisles just to find a staff member to help me. I also am frequently asked by strangers, "Don't I know you?" I smile and say no, I just have one of those faces, and move on. I've never had anyone be outright rude, but I do have a powerful resting idiot face. The funniest shopping one was at Aldi. They'd bring out these giant boxes of full pallet size, full of bags of fruit or veg. So this older man caught my attention as I was shopping. He wanted a watermelon, and I had to lean fully into the box as there was only 3 left. They were practically on the floor of it. I came out laughing and he was very grateful. If you know Aldi staff here, they don't help you lift or carry anything. The next story is titled If I'm the manager of someplace I must be the manager every place I guess? This isn't a very juicy story since the parties involved were never disrespectful and I was always good-humored about it. But I am a manager at Burger King. I wear black Dickies, work pants, a black short-sleeved button-up shirt, and a tie of my choosing. For some reason, I am often confused for working places that I don't. I'll be in my uniform at Walmart or ShopRite, and customers will ask me where things are. And usually I won't know and I'll just tell them I don't work there. But sometimes I will know, and I'll go help them. I was at Walmart with my friend one day and got split up, and she's looking for me and finds me helping a customer. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Helping a customer." And she's like, "But you don't work here." I laughed. She laughed. The customer looked confused and awkwardly walked away. The next story is titled I'm the Delivery Guy, Not a Porch Pirate. My husband and I both work for Amazon Flex, which has freelance drivers deliver packages to different areas that are a little off the beaten path. This way everyone, even those who live in tiny forgotten towns that are surrounded by cornfields, will get their packages in a timely manner. Today, my husband, who I'll refer to as husband, was doing a block in such an area. It's early in the day and the car is full of packages when he entered small town. It was the kind of place that had a post office, a gas station, an old mill, and a sheriff. It's the place where everyone knows everyone because they're all related by blood or marriage. So when husband starts making stops at houses in town in an unfamiliar car, everyone noticed. Husband doesn't even realize that he's being watched, it's just another stop on his delivery route. Then he goes to drop a package at a house at the end of a dead-end road. He does the drop at the door, sends the notice to the customer that the package has been delivered, and gets back in the car to go to the next stop. Except, the road is now being blocked by a sheriff's car. Husband stops and sheriff approaches him, telling him that he had received some calls about him. A suspicious man that was going from house to house and had packages in his vehicle. Husband gives him his ID, and tells him, "I work for Amazon. I just delivered a package to that house back there. These other packages are for other customers." Sheriff takes a look at husband's ID, then his phone to take a look at the app. Then sheriff looks at his own phone before going to the house husband just left to see if the package was there. Sheriff then looks past husband and sees someone watching them. Husband described the look sheriff gave the person as a mix of course, and, "Are you $%% with me?" Sheriff then tells husband that he had been accused of being a porch pirate before stomping past husband to scream at the person watching them. Sheriff apparently not only knew the person who called to report husband as a porch pirate, but the delivery husband had just done was to the sheriff at his house. Sheriff went off on the nosy neighbor about, "Don't they have anything better to do? Wasting police time, and how?" Yes, he was sure that husband was telling the truth since he had received the delivery notice on his phone and the package was on his porch. Sheriff came back to husband, thanked him for his time, and sent him on his way. Husband was annoyed that he was held up for over 20 minutes, but I think this story was worth it. The next story is titled "My Friend's Mom Thinks I'm a Taxi Driver but when I try to explain I'm not she gets more mad." I'm a 17-year-old, M. And this story takes place a few years ago when I was in secondary school. So my friend, let's call her Emily, always used her mother's phone to call me because she wasn't allowed to have one at the time and I don't know why. Me and her were good friends and dated at one point but we don't talk anymore. So one of the days I receive a call from the phone number Emily uses to call me and I pick up thinking it's Emily calling me. This is where it begins. Me picks up. "Hello? M. Yes, hello, I'd like to get a taxi to, I don't remember to where she wanted it to go. So could he come over quickly? I need to be there quick." Me. "I'm sorry but I'm not a taxi driver and you got the wrong number." M. "Don't lie to me, I know you're a taxi driver so don't bullcrap and get your ass over here." Me. "As I said I'm not a taxi driver plus I don't drive, I'm not old enough to drive yet lady." M. "I know you're a taxi driver, I used this number before so stop this crap and do your job you ducking idiot." Me. "Listen lady, I already told I'm not a taxi driver and that I'm not of the right age to drive yet so can you please duck of and get off my ass." Binds the call. When I ended the call I thought what a weird lady and I didn't know it was Emily's mother until the next day when I was in school. Emily told me that it was her mother and that she was sorry about it and I said it was fine and not a big deal. Also her mother did try to call me after I ended the call. I just put my phone on silence and put on Netflix. I could relax and enjoy my day. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some